How big is it?
Okay, you've probably heard of the oil sands, right? That's because there's oil in the sand.
Yeah, ooey gooey, thick oil called bitumen. So, how did the oil get there in the first place?
Yeah, and how do we get it out?
It all started about 110 million years ago. Dinosaurs ruled the Earth, and Alberta was covered by a warm, shallow ocean. Billions of tiny creatures in the water died and piled up on the sandy ocean floor. Eventually, they morphed to become bitumen.
Well, let's flash forward to now. The dinos are long gone, and the ocean is dried up. All that bitumen is mixed up in the sand, which is in deposits close to the Earth's surface, and we want it.
But first, we have to separate it from the sand. At Suncor's mine, big shovels dig up the oil sand.
How big is it?
The bucket is 6 meters wide and 5 meters tall, which is the size of a 2-car garage. And the entire machine weighs 1,500 tons, which is more than 300 hippos. The mine trucks are pretty big too. How big is it?
Suncor's Cat 797B trucks are 380 tons, one of the world's biggest.
It's like trying to drive a 2-story house.
Wow. When fully loaded, the truck weighs 625 tons, more than a jumbo jet.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. We are currently at our cruising altitude of 35,000 feet.
Let's get back to separating bitumen from the sand.
Okay. The trucks dump the oil sand into hoppers for crushing. Conveyor belts move the sand to rotary drums. And here's where the magic starts to happen. The secret to separating bitumen from sand is hot water.
Inside the drums, hot water is mixed with the sand and virtually melts the thick bitumen so it separates from the sand. This process is called
Extraction.
Suncor has big water tanks to supply the hot water needed for extraction.
How big is it?
One of the tanks holds 30 million liters, enough for 250,000 hot showers. 2 things are left over after the extraction. One is a mix of sand and water called tailings, which gets pumped out to Suncor's tailings pond.
More about tailings ponds in a minute.
And the other is bitumen, which is now ready for processing into useful things like fuel.
The bitumen gets broken into different compounds in big vessels called cokers.
How big is it?
88 meters tall, 10 meters wide, weighs 440,000 kilograms, or 440 tons, or the equivalent of about 88 Tyrannosaurus rex.
From the cokers, these new products go to a bunch of other vessels for more processing. This part of the oil sand story is called
Upgrading.
Upgrading creates fuel like diesel and jet fuel, plus many other products that we use every day, and of course, crude oil that can be further refined to make gasoline.
Back to those tailings ponds. Suncor has some really good news.
Suncor is starting to use a new process that takes water out of the tailings more quickly than ever before.
Eventually, this should mean no more tailings ponds, and that's good news for the environment.
So, is that all?
Not quite. There's another way Suncor gets bitumen out of oil sand. In some places, oil sand is buried too far underground to be mined with those big shovels and trucks. So, Suncor uses a different method to get the bitumen up to the ground surface.
And it's called
SAGD.
which stands for Steam-Assisted Gravity Drainage.
By the way, SAGD uses way less land than mining with shovels and trucks. And if you guessed that involves more hot water, you're right.
Yeah, really hot water. Steam, actually. Steam gets injected underground into the oil sand. Heat melts the bitumen just enough so it lets go of the sand grains and starts flowing to other pipes that suck it up and bring it to the surface.
And when the bitumen gets up here, it's piped back to Suncor's oil sands plant for
Upgrading.
There's just one more thing. Getting oil out of oil sand uses electricity, natural gas, water, and land, and creates air emissions. Some, like carbon dioxide, contribute to climate change.
Suncor knows that getting oil from oil sand does affect the environment, and they are working hard to reduce these effects. Suncor is taking less water from the Athabasca River, recycling the water they do take, reducing air emissions per barrel of oil they produce, and reclaiming mined-out land.
That means putting the soil back and planting lots of trees. Some years, Suncor plants more than 500,000 trees.
Suncor is serious about caring for the environment. They have a lot of smart people working on it.
So you can see that just because Suncor is a big company that uses a lot of big stuff, when it comes to the environment, they're trying to make their impact small.
And that
Is the big and the small of it all.